Let's say we now have an array which returned the data from the database. Just so an example, we got the data, this data from the database, and I want to more apply filters on that and where conditions on this kind of data. So all I can do is basically with the collections is I can chain a method of filter. So the filter is basically kind of an additional where apart from the MySQL query, which you can apply on using the collections. So what I will do is basically I want to make this array to even get only those values which are less than 100, just for an example. So I will pass the numbers here or the items, because this is basically this will filter will iterate all of your items. So all you can do is basically you can check if return numbers is less than, let's say, 100. So if they are less than 100, then this should return only those numbers to an array. Now if I dump and die the collection all, and if I reload the page, now I get all those values which are less than 100, and even I can sort those all as well. So I can apply the sorting method here and then get all. So here you can see 7, 10, 20, 30, 61, 88 and 99. So now we have applied an additional filter here, which is even more filtering our data or array of the data with the values and the conditions. And we can then finally we sorted this data and get all the values from that collection. Now let's say I have a multi-dimensional array which contains the keys and the values, and all I want is basically I want all the values into a single array. Similarly, what we did was basically above we converted this multi-dimensional array into collapse method. But here what we have is basically in this was just a normal values, not a key value pair. And when we have a key value pair, we can, and if we want to get the only values from the collection, we can apply the flatten method. So if I apply the flatten method on this one and I dump and die the collection all, this should return me like the Taylor and PHP and JavaScript. So now if I check and reload, there you go, I have got Taylor, PHP and JavaScript. So this is another method which is used for converting all of your multi-dimensional arrays into one-dimensional array with only keys. With only values, not keys. Now another powerful example of Laravel collections is basically I have this array which contains the keys and then values, again keys and then values. Now what I want is basically I want to group all these keys and values depending upon key. So all I can do is basically I can chain a method of group by, and inside the group by I can give the account ID, so basically the key here. Now if I use the collection and dump and die the collection by using all method, so I can, if I review, now I am getting all the values of, so we have here the array of 10 and account of 11. So now if I check, we have got now these two values. So account x10 has a chair and a bookcase as well. So we have a chair and we have a bookcase as well. So that's a very another method or very cool method of converting or grouping by your data into further grouping by process. So the one way is by using the database, and then after that you can also group by these by using your own personalized keys. Now apart from contains, where we have talked about we can check if the collection contains some certain amount of data, either it is value. So if it is, then it returns us true or false. Here we also have another method called has. Now inside the has we pass a key or an array. So if I provide the product just for an instance and I dump and die the record, So I should return the either true or false value. So if I now reload the page, I get true. The reason is that because the product does exist. So let's say for instance I provide the value that doesn't exist. Now if I reload, it gives me false value. So this is another method, but the has only checks on keys. The contains checks on values, the has checks on keys. So keep this difference in your mind. Now let's say I have another array of the data, which is basically a collection, and now I only want to fetch the names from this collection, not the product IDs, just the name of the collections, and store it in an array. So all I can do is basically I can apply the collection and then pluck method. So this pluck will basically have the key. So I will provide it the name, and now I will append the method of all. And now if I reload the page, I should only see the names here. So here in that case we have desk and we have chair. So we are going to talk on the very last example of our collections, and there are a lot of methods, lot of methods available. So I will suggest you to check out the documentation, official documentation of the Laravel, because there are so many other methods which I cannot really explain one by one here, because they are in hundreds, and not every one of them are very basically used too much often in our projects. So the values or the methods that we really use in our daily life projects, so I am explaining only those ones here. So but feel free to check for the documentation of the Laravel. Now you see we have a products array, and we have converted this into a collection. Now I want to check if there is any price which is greater than 100. I want to return that value. We have done these examples above with a different methods, but here what I want is basically I want to make a condition, or I want to apply a where condition on this collection. So for an instance I want to check, let's dump and die. I want to get all the values that basically has price greater than 100. So I will apply the where, and inside the where I provide the key. So the key is basically price, and then we have operator. So I will provide the operator of this, and then the value, let's say 50, above 50. So or maybe above 100, so that we get the two only values. Now if I reload the page, I should see the prices, only two arrays. So now we have a price of 200 and a product of desk, and then we have a price of 150 and a product of bookcase. In this case we have the same. Now there are a lot of other functions available to the documentation, as I have talked previously, like for example where between, where in, and stuff like that. Let's see a last example of where between. Now if I want to check the where between condition, the first would always be the key, and the second would be an array of values. So in that case I provide 100 to 150. Now this will check if the price exists in between 100 to 150, and it will return me the products. So in this case we have these three products. So this 200 is basically out of the condition. So we have 100, 150 and 100. So how cool is that? There are a lot of methods more on the collection, so I will again recommend you to visit the official documentation of the Laravel. And we are concluding our series of collections here with the next sections, and with the next series I will see you in our upcoming videos. That's about it, and I will see you in the next one.